pretty cool. You know?
I mean, I'm as good as can be. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, no, that seems to go around lately.
We're live streaming now, just thought I'd give you a heads up.
Okay.
Okay, I promise to keep my language clean.
No, now's the time to sauce it up.
And you're gonna make us a co-host?
Oh, good idea. Thank you.
This is going to be a fast meeting. There are only three.
Right. It should be. Yeah.
Yeah, it says you.
I know, right?
We can fix that, you know.
The last night was only about an hour and a half.
Hey, Pat, are you responsible for the new lease at the Broadway on Broadway between 86th and 85th? That used to be the sandwich shop, because it looks like they're doing work there. I saw some permits.
Did you talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
Talking to me. Me. No, yes and no. It was I'll explain it later, but
What's it going to be?
it's going to be another gourmet deli type.
I love gourmet delis.
Yeah, I do too.
The place wasn't really gourmet.
I know.
All right. I'm gonna start.
Size.
I'm letting people in.
Sure.
Great. Did you get Barbara?
I sent a link to her, or asked Zoom to.
Okay.
Here, let me back that up. Okay.
I'm
Mute yourself.
mute. I should like my husband. Ow. Oh. Okay.
We're short one for a quorum.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, thanks, Christian. You move everybody up. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and Barbara's here. Okay, good.
So do we have a quorum? No.
No,
One,
we need one more for a quorum.
5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, yeah, because Mark, we can't include you in the quorum.
Nope, I don't count.
But it's not 5:30 yet, so we're in. Okay. Oh, it's 5:30.
It's I said,
Yeah,
well,
it's
wait a few more minutes, let's see if
Not like we have a choice.
one more person join us.
Hello, does anybody see me? Charles Lynn?
Well, we hear you.
You hear me, but you can't see me?
Yes, we don't see you right now, but we hear you.
Looks like you're in the dark there, sir.
No, I'm not, but
But if you look to your left, and you'll see the video, that little camera,
yes.
and you see across through it.
Yeah, now it's off the cross.
Okay.
I think there's a problem with your camera.
Yeah, that's okay. As long as we can hear you, we'll be good.
Take a look. There
There you go.
Oh, there you
got
go.
it.
That's a disadvantage of being over 70. This is all new to me.
I had the unique experience of having a college student trying to explain to an entire panel, 61 sexagenarian and septuagenarian lawyers, which is, of course, just the audience you want to be talking to.
Exactly.
Technology, trying to figure out how to go into breakout rooms on Zoom in order to do trial practice.
My granddaughter, 11 years old, teaches me what to do. A little embarrassing.
Yeah.
She grew up with it. Born with it.
Okay,
Hey,
we have a
Charles.
quorum.
I think you have a
Charles, nice to
quorum.
see you.
Hello.
We have a quorum, so let's get started. Welcome, everybody. This is the November BCI meeting. We have 3 applicants. The first one is 240 Columbus Avenue. Are you here, 240 Columbus Avenue?
240 Columbus Avenue is here. Seth Weinberg of Weinberg, Zara, Malkin Price, representing the applicant. Jacopo Giustiani is on as well, who is a principal of the company.
Where are you, Jacopo? Okay.
Yeah, hello everybody.
No,
Hello everybody.
So go ahead, tell us about your about Feliz.
Jacopo, would you like to give the description?
Sure, with pleasure. We are called as Hospitality Group, and we own three main brands. One is Ambrose, one is called Felice, one is called Casa Leve.
Can everybody hear Jacopo? I know he's breaking up on my reception.
Oh,
Okay, a
breaking
little
up
bit.
for me also.
Jacopo, perhaps I'll start then, and to the extent we
Long
need to.
Island,
Sure.
Sorry.
So the Felice that's proposed would be part of SA Hospitality Group. SA Hospitality Group is locally known primarily for their three principal brands, which is the St. Ambrose restaurants, the Felice restaurants, and in Midtown Casa Lever. They expect that this would be operated as a Felice property, which would render it as a high-end restaurant with appropriate wine, beer, and liquor service.
Can you hear me better now? Sorry, can you hear me better?
Yes.
Yes.
Could you just spell SA Hospitality Group, just the first word, please?
It's the letters S and the letter A.
Very good. Thank you. I'm taking minutes. That's well.
Casa Lever. Wow, this is great. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you. We are very excited. Actually, we don't have any establishment in the Upper West Side, so we are very, very happy and glad to finally join this community.
Great.
Actually, I live in the Upper
Broadway?
West Side.
Isn't there a place called Felice on Broadway near the movie theater? Or am I making that up?
No.
No, it would be a problem. So no, not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
So it obviously it's going to be. This is going to be. Is it what is the cuisine? Is it going to be Felice is Italian? Or?
So Felice. So the three brands, they're all Italian cuisine. Sant'Ambrose is more Milanese type of cuisine, so more northern Italian. Felice is more Tuscan, so a little bit more rustic, at the same time sophisticated. It's a menu that goes from pasta to few main courses and mostly appetizer, like crostoni with liver, with chicken liver, prosciutto, burrata, polpette. My family, my uncle and I were partner in all these restaurants, and we come from Florence, so we are very attached to the Felice concept. They remind us home. Yeah.
And I love your restaurants. So this
Thank you very much.
Anyone want to comment from the group? I see your hours are pretty. They're only till 10:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Your application said Sidewalk Cafe. Is that because you're planning to apply for one?
Yes, I mean, I know I have an enclosed cafe right now, but I was wondering and hoping to be able to add a few tables on 71st Street. I took measurement very quick. I need an architect to do a better due diligence, but I think I can have few extra table on 71st in front of the beautiful mural. I think it would be nice because I think my main entrance would be on Columbus. I know Oxford Tavern was used to have the entrance on 71st, but I would rather, if possible, to use that part of the sidewalk to add few tables. I mean, I don't think gonna be many, but few. Yeah.
Well, under the open restaurant, right now you can. In terms of once we are over the pandemic, we may have to talk about it.
Okay.
What restaurant was there previously?
Oxbow Tavern.
What?
Expo Tavern
Oxbow.
and the original Victor's.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa. Okay, great. So when you say there's an enclosed cafe there, is that really an enclosed cafe, or is that part of the restaurant that just has those windows that open all the way?
No, that's an enclosed.
Enclosed.
And that remains, I mean,
Yeah.
since when?
Yeah, I was planning not to touch it. I think it's a good amenity because I can use it all year round, and during the summer open the
Oh.
windows.
There's no question it's a great amenity, but I did not think they were grandfathered.
I think they are grandfathered. That was one of the issues that we went through when Greg first applied for before Oxbow Tavern, when it was, what was it, before?
They're not grandfathered. They're-
Tallulah.
Tallulah.
Anyway,
Before that, it was the,
Well, it currently is not an issue currently under the current circumstances.
Yeah.
But when the time comes, then we'll have to talk about it.
Of course.
I believe they can operate as with a temporary
Right. Yeah.
until it's approved.
Mhm.
But it's still a separate application. Right now, we're here for the liquor license, so.
We understand that.
Okay, it's something you should look into though, so you don't wind up with violations.
Yeah.
Understood and appreciated.
Okay.
Anybody has any other questions? Want to take a vote?
Public?
All those in favor?
Yeah, we can just read it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we missed somebody. Who did I miss?
It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh no, I got it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great.
You have to
So
count
the vote is
yourself, yeah.
7000, and non-committee members as 1000. Great, wonderful. You're approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Good
Thank
luck.
you very much. Thank you.
Goodness,
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye bye.
When do you plan to open, by the way?
Probably by May, depending of the pandemic.
For my birthday. Good, good.
Okay. Perfect. We will be there, hopefully.
I'm looking forward to it. Nice.
So now we have 148 West 67th Street.
Charles Land, attorney for the applicant, and with me is Louis Skibar, one of the principals.
Right.
We were here just last month
Yeah, I remember.
on 153 Amsterdam. This is the store next door on 67th Street, also owned by the people who own Telewache and are proceeding on 153rd Street. This store has been known for years. It's Sir John's. It's a diner. And what's going to happen is that they can continue as a diner for that premises, but totally renovated to make it into a modern diner. And one of the principals had passed away a couple of months ago. So the current owners decided to, with the pandemic and everything, they wouldn't be able to continue to operate anyhow. So they got an SBA loan, got financing, formed an LLC for tax purposes, and decided to renovate rather than do any transfer of ownership. But like I say, it'll be open from 6 in the morning to 12 at night. It's an American diner, not Spanish like most of the Mexican, like most of the Telewache operations. It's an American operation. And like I said, it's been there for years at that location.
And I see you'll be open 6 a.m. to midnight.
6
right?
a.m. to 12 midnight, 7 days a week.
Yeah, but it's going to function as a diner. It's not going to be a wild and crazy place. I think this is.
No, wild, crazy places also consider the fact we're gonna be right next door. I don't believe so. It's not gonna be wild. I suppose some of you may have, be familiar with Sir John's. They've been around for many years. And there's not too many diners in the area.
Not a lot left.
Not a lot of restaurants left either, unfortunately.
Fortunately, yes. Okay. Anybody have questions? If not, we take a vote. Okay. All those in favor? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the vote is 7000. Non-committee members, that's 1000. So you're approved.
All right, thank you.
Joining us.
Thank you.
Care, Charles.
And here we are coming to the finish line. And thank you all for being here on Friday night. I know everybody's had really tough weeks. 49 West 64th Street.
That's me. Good evening, CB7 on this
Next.
Friday. Friday evening community board meeting, but thank you for making it fast. I hope this one will be fast as well. I think it will. This is Atlantic Grill. Everybody knows Atlantic Grill. Before I get into it, actually, I should introduce my client, Alex. Alex, just wave your hand so everybody sees who you are. He'll be the general manager at the restaurant. So Atlantic Grill for years has been owned by BR Guest, which is a subsidiary of Landry's, the massive restaurant owning conglomerate that owns all sorts of restaurants throughout the city and the country. Landry's is leaving. They were planning on turning in the keys and essentially just closing down Atlantic Grill, but a group of owners led by the landlord is coming in to keep Atlantic Grill alive and to keep it going. And so this is what we call a transfer application, meaning that it's a purchase of the business, but nothing is changing about the business other than the top level ownership and Alex coming in as general manager. In other words, the vast majority of the staff is staying exactly the same. The menu is staying the same. The concept is staying the same. It's still going to be called Atlantic Grill. The hours are still Atlantic Grill restaurant hours, which is 10 o'clock every day of the week, except for 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. Alex has a great deal of experience in high-end restaurants. He has a really impressive resume managing San Ambrose, the one on Madison Avenue. You just saw San Ambrose, a small family. He's been there since 2016. Before that, he was working with chef Daniel Boulud at DB Bistro, very high-end restaurant. And before that, he was in the Time Warner Center over on Columbus Circle at the restaurant that was called Avoce, the Michelin star restaurant. He was assistant general manager there for a number of years. So he's got a great deal of experience managing restaurants. And with nothing really changing, we hope you've had a good experience with Atlantic Grill so far, because it's not really going to change.
Went from Steve Hansen to Landry's and they managed to keep it going. And now this is wonderful, wonderful news. This is wonderful news. Wow. Anyone want to?
How you guys faring during the pandemic?
How's who faring?
The restaurant.
So I have one question, please.
I'll tell you in a second.
I was reading your application, and one application says that this was a transfer, and the other application says it was a new application. There was a letter which I believe you had written saying that the first thing should be disregarded. So I got confused. Now, am I to understand that it's exactly as you described it? It's a new application to the SLA, but it is a transfer in that Landry's was going to get rid of it, and instead Alex is taking over.
Barbara, it's an excellent question. I'm going to answer it in 2 seconds, just to answer Christian's question right before. How is it doing? It's doing not great, just like any other restaurant right now is doing not great. Landry certainly felt that they wanted to close it down, but the landlord and their group felt that it was an important enough restaurant that should stay in the community. And so they've put together, they brought Alex on the team and they want to keep it going. Barbara, to answer your question, which is one that makes sense. So transfer is actually, it's not a legal term. Anytime a new owner wants to come in and operate a business that has a liquor license, it's a new liquor license application. Okay. So we're filing a new liquor license application with the State Liquor Authority for a brand new entity. The reason folks call it a transfer is because when you have a new liquor license application and the incoming business is buying the assets of the outgoing business, so they're buying from Landry's the tables, the chairs, the intellectual property, everything like that, kitchen equipment, then the liquor authority gives the new entity a temporary liquor license, which you can get within 30 days of applying.
Okay.
So it's designed exactly for this situation where you can have a seamless and quick transfer of ownership while you're waiting the many months it takes for the liquor authority to process the permanent liquor license application for the new entity. My office just screwed up and forgot to check the box that said transfer. That's why we fixed it within 24 hours, and that's why we told you to ignore the first one.
It's just
fantastic. I just want the minutes to be accurate. That's the only reason I questioned it. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Landry's basically got rid of most of the, except for Blue Water Grill, Ocean Grill, they got rid of most of the Be Our Guest Steve Hansen,
Dos Caminos.
Dos
Yeah,
Caminos.
they have Dos Caminos.
So the fact that,
They have Bubba Gump. They have Bubba Gump in Times Square. I'm
Rainforest.
sure we've all been to.
Rainforest Cafe and
Right, right.
football team and the Golden Nugget casinos. And everything.
That's right. That's right, Doug.
their bailiwick, but they bought the brand. Anyway, listen, I'm so thrilled that you guys are opening. This is like a whole night of great news, guys. What do you think?
I wish they were all this easy.
Well, I certainly hope that you guys make it. I mean, we really need every single restaurant. Right
Yeah,
now.
it's fantastic that the space will not sit there more about it. It's a big space. It's very prominently located, and it says a lot about our community that you're going to try to make a go of it, and we hope that we can support that.
This the Ginger Man space?
From the Peanut Gallery.
Thank you, Mark.
Isn't this the Ginger Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, the old Ginger Man.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Quick question. In this doesn't make a difference in my support of this, but so you're just saying that in this instance, the landlord is also part of the equity ownership of the business?
That's right.
Okay, great.
Spectacular.
Okay, so want to take a vote? All those in favor? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Non-committee members. That's 1. So the vote is 7000 to 1000. You're approved. We thank you for having come, and we wish you the best. I certainly hope. I'm looking forward to visit the restaurant. I need that.
Thank you very much, everyone. By the way, Doug, that's actually something we're seeing a little more of with some landlords, at least, who don't want to see their spaces sit vacant. They're willing to put a little more skin in the game, which
yes, I'm seeing that too.
And I know.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody has any new business?
I have a question for Josh.
Yes.
I was wondering how you reacted to the 10 o'clock curfew and whether or not you feel that is a further problem for your restaurants and others as well. And what exactly we achieve by having a 10 o'clock curfew.
Well, the second question I can't answer. I don't know what we achieve by having a 10 o'clock curfew. I feel like that, it's frustrating for a lot of reasons. One of them being that we can't give enough hours to our employees. We're losing 14 hours a week, which essentially is 2.5 shifts the way we've been scheduling. And so that's a hardship for sure, because, people are struggling as it is. And so that's very frustrating. And of course it's going to cost us, business, I'm not saying we do the majority of our business between 10 and midnight, but we do business between 10 and midnight. And so, and now that the weather is getting colder, every dollar that we can get, that we need. And so it's just going to be really frustrating. But, I personally think that this is a precursor to a shutdown, and that, and I have no basis on nothing except for the fact that I feel like that if the schools are going to close, it's going to be a domino effect, I feel like. And I feel like this is like, okay, we're going to give you this last opportunity, like, to get as many dollars as you can before we shut you down. And we're just like trying to solve. There's no rhyme or reason for it. There's no reasonable explanation.
It's really arbitrary. I mean, what's the difference between 10 or 11 p.m.?
Right. Yeah. I myself don't feel that it accomplishes anything either. Yeah.
May I ask a question, Josh?
Yeah, sure.
What if the new administration, which we know they can't do much now, but what if there's a guarantee if everything is shut down so we could all be better, that it's money going to be due you all the small businesses and businesses all the way around? What if that is offered? Would you be able to hold out until then?
Well, I mean, every business would be different. Some would survive and some wouldn't. It'd be really hard to say, but this is more of a state thing than a federal thing, because the president really can't shut the entire country down. He can shut down federal agencies, but he really has no say over any state jurisdiction. So, I think that gets a little bit, misrepresented, that the president has control over what New York State can do or New York City, and so for non-federal agencies. So I don't know, but I just feel like
the Restaurant Act, though, is on the back end of that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Andrew might know more about that than I do, but it's very frustrating, because it is gonna every dollar that we don't bring in is a dollar longer it takes us to get back to even and then to start making money. So But I'm just fearful that this is a precursor to the city being shut down again, because the rate is climbing very quickly. And, today it's a 2.8 something. And I know that they think that, again, my opinion, that shutting something down in 2 days is going to slow it. But this is not like, it's like, they say like a ship in the ocean. It just doesn't stop automatically. It's a slow stop. And so I just feel like,
But
I want to be as optimistic as possible. And a lot of people say I'm a pessimist, but I think I'm a realist. And I just think that that's the direction we're going.
I can tell you that the schools closing down at 3% rate. That was a deal that was struck between the schools and the unions. So between the city and the unions.
The schools are like at 0.17%. So they're
right,
probably
exactly. Yeah, no, it's like right. It's crazy. But that's what the city struck the deal with the union. So that's what they're doing that. Right. So I doubt that will affect the closing of the businesses. I just don't know what Cuomo was the rate at which Cuomo will decide to do something, because I don't know what this 10 o'clock thing meant. He just doesn't do anything.
Nobody has any. I mean,
yeah, and plus, the thing is, it's not in every area. It's not in every neighborhood. And I'm not saying that people in Brooklyn don't come into Manhattan, but it's not happening here. I think one of the biggest things we're going to be dealing with, and I was on the Upper East Side yesterday having lunch, is that they have really enclosed, like little cabins. And that's what they're planning on, the lighting heaters and enclosed cabins. And that's
this is what I was saying the other day, that with lack of enforcement comes lack of compliance.
Right.
So
you're
supposed to, there's going to be enforcement on that. The other thing is, if you're enclosed more than 50%, you have to be treated like indoor dining.
Correct.
So in the case that indoor dining gets shut, by the slight chance that you can keep outdoor dining, those enclosed structures would be shut down too.
Sorry.
No. I was just saying. So yeah, I think that's gonna, be a big issue. And city just issued a lot of winterizing requirements today, as far as the barriers and everything. So,
they've already built them. That's what kills me. They built them because there was no guidance. There were no criteria.
Yeah.
You know what, Linda, I gotta push back on that a little bit, because I feel like it wasn't specific criteria. It was pretty simple to know that you couldn't build a complete structure. I think that's a little
right.
The businesses who did that, in my opinion, need to take a little bit of responsibility, because they did do something that they had to know was not going to be acceptable. Andrew, wasn't it? Didn't they say 50% really from the beginning of outdoor?
Yes, those requirements, since the tenting requirements came out, that's always been in place.
That's right.
The overarching issue here is that people are desperate, and when people are desperate, they'll do anything they possibly can to try to survive. Right. And the lack of adequate support is people pushing people into desperation, and then they start seeing another restaurant do it, and it's that domino effect, or it's that copycat effect, where people say, "Oh, they're doing that, I'm going to do that as well." So,
and just to add to that, like I said, from my perspective, I have seen zero enforcement. We had them come by maybe a month ago to check on, not a month ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, to check to make sure we had the signs posted for contact tracing, how many people were allowed to have inside, what number you could call if you felt like there was a violation. And by the way, I've been to a lot of restaurants or walked by that don't even have these signs posted. And there was that thing that, Linda, that you sent us, that those people didn't have it. I call boo on them, because everybody's known about this. They should be doing this. This is really something that the businesses need to take responsibility for. That this has been over a month we've been open for indoor, and if you're not doing it, you're just not doing it right, because it's not important to you. That's my opinion. And so, but there's a lot of places not doing it. Like I said, it seems to me the lack of enforcement is why you get these issues, because the city is.
Do you feel that those gas heaters inside enclosures are dangerous in terms of having too many fumes?
There should be no gas heaters inside of enclosures. That's very illegal.
People know that.
Yeah.
Again, enforcement.
And the FDNY has been going on a rampage. The FDNY has really been going out.
Yeah.
It's been.
The ones outdoor, in the outdoor seating, they have them, a lot of them. But the ones inside, what I'm seeing is that they.
Yeah, 12-pack.
That should only be electric.
Yeah. So
okay.
Sorry about that.
So you're not dealing with, you know, the fumes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, they could go on fire in a heartbeat.
You hear about the suggestion
think,
of
yeah.
lowering music because people have a propensity to speak louder when there's louder music, and then the transference of the virus. Did you hear about this suggestion?
No.
God.
The discussion of there was it's voluntary, but asking establishments to lower music so people don't have to project.
I think that's just a product of people getting drunk.
Yeah, I
Well,
think,
that's too.
That's the implication of the 10 p.m. and all these other rules are concerning alcohol, you know, and not having a structured meal when people are just having an unstructured social activity,
Right.
consuming alcohol. As you drink more, you get louder, you get closer, your inhibitions come down, you go from one table to the next. Because
I've heard this, yes.
You know, you know, but one thing I'll just say, oh, go ahead, Linda. I would just say, you know, one thing, you know, it was the New York Times editorial that said, keep schools open, close restaurants. And there are obviously many issues with being indoors. Issue is, to put in perspective, restaurants have been open indoors in the state of New York, outside of New York City, at 50% occupancy since June. And the infection rate continued to go down. Many of the studies that are being cited, like the big one that tracked mobile phone activity, were conducted between March and May. And those are happening in places around the country. Meanwhile, New York City was shut down. We didn't even have outdoor dining in that time frame. So a lot of what's being positioned or what's being said or what's being blamed on restaurants, they still haven't even put forward the contact tracing data on it. So I think we should be somewhat suspect about some of the claims where you see clearly, and if you read the Washington Post article, that so much of what's happening is coming from social gatherings within people's homes.
Right.
Their social groups are starting to expand. They are more comfortable being indoors. And there really is a lack of any enforcement on personal activity outside of commercially regulated spaces, other than the governor tweeting, knock it off. But then you see Joe Borelli, the councilman from Staten Island, who said basically, F you, Cuomo, de Blasio, I'm having a huge Thanksgiving party. And then he doubled down today with a Daily News op-ed saying how he's going to be doing all of this despite all of the rules and requirements. So it's a big problem, I think, of personal lack of responsibility where there is absolutely no enforcement at all. And I just feel bad, especially if the restaurant owners now, people are starting to be, you know, there's a scapegoat on all of this. You know, meanwhile, just to put numbers in perspective, pre-pandemic, there were more than 300,000 New Yorkers employed in food and drink places. After the shutdown in March, that dropped from 325,000 to about 90,000. Since then, with outdoor dining and now 25% indoor dining, we've brought back about 90,000 people, or about 180,000. So we're still 150,000 people out of work. Shutting down indoor dining means, at least you'd imagine, about 90,000 people are going to be back out of work. There is no federal unemployment enhancement. Many people, as you know, working in restaurants, if they're out of a job, they're not even eligible for unemployment. Many of them are low-income workers, immigrants, minorities, and a lot of the talk about, oh, we just need to shut down the restaurants, sometimes puts out the economic and social impact that this is going to have on people's lives. And many of those people's lives are people who are the most vulnerable. And I know the city and state don't have money, but it's really close to criminal what the federal government is doing. They have not passed the Restaurants Act, which you mentioned earlier. They are solely focused on these 2 seats in Georgia. And I've been saying, anyone calling for just closing things down without fighting to couple that with getting money to shut things down, like they're doing all throughout Europe, like they're doing in Canada, like they're doing in all of these places, is just horrible. And I mean, I don't have the answer necessarily other than the federal government acting.
But Andrew, in Europe, they have systems that actually protect the people and give them money and give them healthcare, and we don't.
Yeah.
But that's what he means, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's my point. And they have
Yeah.
just, have not done anything. And it's really just devastating. And now, anyways, I won't get into my political opinions other than saying that New York Times editorial has created a lot of problems, in my opinion, a lot of virtue signaling from folks that will continue to earn a paycheck while other people are completely losing their livelihoods and unable to feed themselves and their families.
Who said a drill was
Listen, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to have to bail out. I've just made Christian the host of this meeting. You guys can continue to talk. This is fascinating. I wish I could stay. But thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Mark.
Have a nice weekend.
See you, Mark.
Have a good weekend.
Andrew, can you summarize a little bit more about the Restaurant Act? And I mean, I assume it's not going to happen until the new administration and then the congressional runoff. But and also if there's been any progress in the business interruption lawsuits.
Sure.
Furtherance, there's one.
Yeah. So on the Restaurants Act, it is bipartisan legislation. It passed through the House of Representatives in the HEROES Act, which was passed last month as the giant stimulus. There's 49 senators, U.S. senators signed on to the bill. So it's bipartisan. I mean, Lindsey Graham's on it, but it's being held up by McConnell and a handful of the conservative Republican senators. Part of it is that I think it's part of this much larger stimulus package that the Democrats want because they passed it through the House, which they control, where the Republicans don't want that big of a package. But what the Restaurants Act is a bill that would effectively provide restaurants the difference between their 2019 and projected 2020 receipts for the covered period, which is basically when it was called a state of emergency, throughout the year. And the money would be able to be used for rent, payroll, vendor expenses, and it is a straight grant. It's a revitalization fund, which is different than the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, which was a loan that was converted to a grant only if specific conditions were met. And one of the problems about those conditions, particularly for restaurants, was that it was tied to hiring back your staff to approximately pre-pandemic levels. The problem is when you're operating a limited capacity or you're shut, you clearly don't need pre-pandemic staffing levels. So they were hiring people back artificially, which was also really challenging because a lot of people didn't even want to go back to work because at the time they were making more money between state and federal enhanced unemployment. So, that's the bill. And hopefully, it can get passed. I just don't see anything happening right now. I mean, it's just really trying, and the state and the city are broke. You see and hear the financial situation we're in. So.
And the business interruption,
yeah, I mean, there's been a couple of there's been a couple there's been a couple of
let's see, the deputy director there.
Yeah, exactly. my chief of staff. I'm the boss, but she makes all the decisions in the family. There's been a couple of lawsuits, some negative, but a couple recently that were more positive. There's another one that may come out soon that would be positive. And we'll see what happens there. As far as the legislation, goes, see, this is why it's so important to have in-person schooling, even though the legislation, who knows? The federal bill requires the federal government to backstop the insurance industry, which is, again, caught up in all the federal politics. The state bills are there, their support, but they're stuck in committee from the powers that be. So I think the Restaurants Act Sorry, or more PPP. May-
Yeah.
No, a lot of people are very upset about it. I can hear. No, she's
Maybe we
expressing
should-
her outrage.
Sorry about that.
No,
Well, anyway,
all right.
I gotta go.
Sure.
Go. Listen,
Thank you, Andrew.
Good weekend, everyone.
Yeah, have a good weekend. Yes.
have a cocktail. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. No, it's 6 o'clock. Everybody, and thank you.
Okay, everybody, have a good weekend today. Okay.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.